Pokemon is one of the deepest games ever made. There's type matchups, stats to remember, EV training, passive natures, and more moves than professional breakdancing. So when I learned that there was a fan game that tried to keep all of the complexities of Pokemon intact, while also removing the turn-based combat aspect and turning it into real-time battles, I was so shocked that I spat out a piece of my burger. The idea itself is amazing on paper, but Pokemon is turn-based for a reason. If you blink, you'll most likely miss some crucial stat change or an item use that'll turn your beloved Pokemon into a patty for a burger. So how does it work? And is it even worth playing? We're about to find out. But before we do that, I do want to say, I am not a Pokemon professional, so if you see me make a basic mistake, just comment, "It's okay, Scooch, I know you're trying your best. We all learn at our own rate, and you'll be a Pokemon master in no time." I don't know a lot of Pokemon lore. I know Ash, duh. I know Gary. Gold? I'm gonna assume is from Gold? Chris? I could assume that that one's from Pokemon Chris? Our journey starts off with a survey that seems a little bit out of place. I didn't find this out until much later, but this survey actually determines which starters you'll be able to choose from, which is kind of cool if you think about it. I also opted to play this game on hard mode because I'm a Chad who's not afraid of anything. That isn't bugs, darkness, water, or being alone. There's a pretty long cutscene featuring a lot of enemies from the previous games, and I can't really show you the audio for this part, but I find it pretty funny that it was just like a chiptune remix of Outside by Calvin Harris. Also, if you see me not talking about the story too much, it's because the writing is kind of all over the place. So let's focus on the game. The three starters I got to choose from were Eevee, Pikachu, and Riolu. Pikachu is way too basic. I mean, it even had its own Let's Go game on the Nintendo Switch. And Eevee is too basic. I mean, it even had its own Let's Go game on the Nintendo Switch. So I choose Riolu because fighting types have always been my favorite. I immediately leave my mom as a prepubescent teenager ready to take on a world of child-abducting monsters, bees with drills for arms, mosquitoes with the physique of professional bodybuilders, and how is this legal again? After a few steps, I run into my first battle. Alright. Okay, quick attack is sick. Okay, alright. I understand now. And I'm ready to pop off on this dork. Okay, he's about to kill me. Dude, I am getting clobbered. Wait, I can throw a Pokeball. That wasn't a fight. That Pidgey straight up robbed me of the potions I had to use in order to survive, and also the joy and wonder I felt as a child. Now, I'm gonna quickly explain some fight mechanics here, and more as they happen so that we're on the same page. Every Pokemon can have up to 4 moves. Your PP is more like a stamina bar in this game, and stronger moves require more PP to use. I'm just gonna call it stamina from here on out, because I can't just keep saying PP. Running out of stamina basically makes you into a walking punching bag, so you're always managing this resource to not put yourself in a bad predicament. As you evolve, your Pokemon gets stronger in the conventional sense, but the cool thing is that their stamina bar also gets better. So eventually, using moves that require more stamina aren't as detrimental. There's a couple of other mechanics that I'll explain as we go, but an important thing to note is that you have to aim all of your attacks, which is incredibly hard since the enemy Pokemon seem to have the reaction time of a pro fighting game player. It's almost as if they can see into my mind. We capture the Pidgey and go on our way. Then we fight a Sentret immediately after, which poses much less of a challenge since he doesn't really attack. But just as I catch my breath, I run into Spearow. Multiple Spearows. Okay, first off, I didn't know we were doing street rules. I could just get jumped in this game? I capture the last of kin after slaughtering all of his relatives and friends. Then we catch a Pidove, which is actually our first Pokemon with a ranged projectile, which is huge, because now a failed attack attempt won't leave me open to be counter-hit and murdered. After squeaking out a victory, we fight a Pikapeck, which is like the 4th flying type in a row, and then we run into Boy Frank, who whips out Pokemon Bidoof. I guess. After defeating my first trainer, I run into a pat rat and then immediately another trainer. And the combination of all of these battles was enough to beat me to death. These fights were very difficult. As much as I want to blame my lack of overall Pokemon knowledge, I knew that there was something else afoot. And that's when I realized that playing this game on hard mode makes the opponents deal double damage. Double. This wasn't the hardest mode. This wasn't even the second hardest mode. Alright. We'll go extreme. Just kidding. No, we'll go normal. Alright, cool. Alright, we're back to normal mode. Now maybe we could actually fight things and not get one-shotted every millisecond. I continue my grind and fight a decent amount of random critters as I head to our next town. I catch a Bidoof strictly for the joke and not because I think he'll ever be useful. Then I get to another town area which has a school in it. Sent me out of class because of bad behavior. As revenge, I was pissing on the door. Okay. Alright. And all of the kids want to battle me? Luckily for them, we were in a classroom because school them. I did. Now, let's talk a little bit more about battling for a second. Battle mechanics in this game follow a lot of the same exact mechanics as the normal Pokemon games, with tight matchups being factored in for damage, debuffs working to increase stuff like attack and defense, and even statuses like paralysis and sleep, which works really well in some regards, but has its fair share of issues that we'll see later. A unique aspect of this game is that the amount of times you could switch out your Pokemon and use healing items is limited. The limit is like really high though, so it never really became an issue, but it did show that the devs in this game really try to keep balance in mind. We leave the school and then my cat comes into my bedroom to say hello. Oh, look at her. She's so cute. We continue our walk towards the next city, which may have an actual gym in it. And I do want to say that for some reason, just about every single Pokemon we run into is a flying type. I don't know if I got unlucky. I saw like one dark and a few normals, but besides that, my path was pretty limited. There were also a ton of trainers blocking every single route. I know it's customary for a Pokemon game, but some of these people were like 4 steps apart. What the heck did I do? Go fight each other. If you go to Spiga Forest, be careful, it's a maze. And then just swings at me. Gives me life advice and then just cocks her fist all the way back. We even get to do a double battle, which is extra cool because it sends out 2 of your Pokemon. Another mechanic in this game is that you choose which Pokemon you want to send out by pressing numbers 1 through 6. But when both of them are out and fighting simultaneously, you could press the number of either Pokemon to swap and control them instantly. It's a fun mechanic, but it's all a little bit overwhelming, especially because every Pokemon has 4 moves that all have their own corresponding buttons, which means you have to remember your Pokemon placement in your rotation, and also their special move placement as well. The B button is Pokeballs, and you can keybind other items to other buttons. I think if you hold shift, you could see where the moves are, and if you hold control, you could see all the stat changes. Maybe I'm just too new for this kind of thing, but it's like a lot. We win our 2v2 battle and finally make it to our first gym, and I immediately knew we were in for a pretty bad time. Remember how I said that for some reason, all we managed to find was flying type Pokemon and normal type Pokemon? Well, I guess it's not too big of a deal, as long as the first gym isn't a direct counter to my entire team. That'd be such a good punchline though. You know what? Let's write it down. Funny enough, I didn't realize this until editing, but the other 2 starters that I could have chosen were, you guessed it, weak or useless against rock types. I don't know what kind of horrible atrocities I committed in my past life to get luck like this, but if this game keeps on playing with me, I'm gonna do it again. I know at this point a lot of people would think the same thought that I had. Hey, it's just the first gym. Maybe I can fully clear it with my strongest Pokemon. Hell, I even had a Riolu, which is a fighting type. That's strong against rock. Theoretically, my Riolu is like paper. Unfortunately though, theoretically, the rest of my team is like toilet paper. Cause he straight shit on me, boy. I'm gonna explain why this didn't really work how I thought it would. Normally, in a conventional Pokemon game, if your Pokemon is strong enough in a favorable matchup, you can clear teams by simply 1 or 2-shotting them before taking too much damage. In real-time combat, however, even if you're strong in the matchup, their Pokemon is still gonna try to gouge your eyes out every second that they're conscious. And obviously, since the concept of one-shotting something defeats the purpose of a real-time battle, damage was adjusted accordingly, and these hard rock bastards would still take a decent amount of attacks before they turn into dust. Paired with how difficult it is to aim in this game, and how every single enemy Pokemon is about 3 cool dodges away from finishing their MLG TikTok edit, having a single Pokemon with a favorable matchup against 6 strong rock mutants was just not going to work. I can tell you this because, believe me, I tried so many times to pull this off, but this rock gym just beat me like I owed it money. I pushed this boulder up a hill like my name was Uphill Boulder Pushing Man, but no matter how hard I tried, I never even got close. And what I didn't know was that every failed attempt was actually going to make my situation a lot more dire. Once I knew it was time to readjust, I didn't realize how difficult that task was going to be. And here is where my Pokemon ignorance was really going to rear its ugly head. I didn't know this, but gym trainers do a funny thing where they scale their levels around your strongest Pokemon. Meaning, if you have one Pokemon that is level 20, they will scale all of their Pokemon to be around that level as well. Since I was trying to only win using my Riolu for the fighter type bonus, and since trainer battles give significantly more EXP than fights in the wild, my Riolu was actually leveling at an alarming rate. And by the time I realized my wrongdoing, it was already too late. My Riolu was level 20. But my other Pokemon were significantly weaker. I did find a Machop in between attempts that I started to level in order to have at least 2 strong boys, and the Bidoof that I picked up as a joke earlier was going to learn a water attack any minute now. Or else. But as far as Pokemon go, that's all I had to offer. Just about every other Pokemon I had was either a flying type or just 15 levels too low to deal with the monster that I have created. To make matters a little bit funnier, there was no other area that I could travel to, and I didn't know this game would do this either, but the only way to make money was to beat trainers, so I literally couldn't afford to just buy potions and heal my way through it. Speaking of potions, if you want to twist the knife a little more, the enemy gym leader can full heal randomly 6 times throughout the battle. To level up my weaker Pokemon, my only options were to either fight Pokemon in the wild, which would take a million years since they garnered no EXP, or fight the gym trainer repeatedly and hope that my weaker Pokemon can get a last hit on the opponent before being smashed into ground beef. Because, get this, I have asked to deliver an EXP share to you if you've got 50 or more Pokemon caught on your Pokedex. Did you catch 50 or more? I'm gonna kill this man with my fucking bare hands, is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fucking find his address and I'm gonna smother him in his goddamn sleep. EXP share was something that would only be available after catching 50 Pokemon, which isn't possible before the first gym. And even if it was possible, the money gain in this game is so low that I probably wouldn't even be able to afford the Pokeballs to hold said 50 Pokemon. Honestly, I felt pretty defeated, and it kind of felt like I soft-locked myself. I genuinely wanted to quit. I put my head down, ready to give up, and you know what I saw? That piece of the burger from earlier. And that's when I knew that I couldn't give up, and thus, I had to train. With enough hours of my life dedicated, around 6 if you're asking, I managed to finally be strong enough to fight our first gym leader. My team ended up being a Riolu for my primary, a Machop for my secondary, a Bidoof for my third dairy, and for the other 3 slots, I just used whatever trash I could find in my pocket. Meanwhile, Rockman had a Geodude that was lightning fast, a Cranidos who wasn't really a problem, a Kabuto with Absorb that was hard to hit, an Onix that was very easy to hit but very hard to dodge, a Nosepass with Thunder Wave which can paralyze, and of course, a high-level Lycanroc who howls repeatedly to rapidly increase his attack damage and one-shot me. The funniest part about this one is that he charges his attack damage very fast. I think this was the first time I truly started to understand why the mechanics of Pokemon were made for turn-based combat. Paralysis in this game just makes it so that some of your moves don't happen when you try to use them. The idea that your Pokemon might lose his turn is annoying, but being paralyzed in a game where you're constantly moving and trying to sneak in and attack feels like getting hit with a lag spike in the middle of a ranked match. Stat buffs are also way stronger than than normal because instead of boosting a single attack, they boost every single thing you do and throw. This Lycanroc would literally charge up for like 10 seconds, and it was enough to make him hit like a boulder. Oh, wait, no, I get it. My Riolu learned Swords Dance so I can give that Lycanroc a taste of his own medicine. My Bidoof learned Water Gun, which was good against rock types. And my Machop learned enough fighting moves to open up a goddamn dojo. God damn it, dude. Holy shit. Holy shit, man. Finally, after a bunch of failed attempts, we managed to beat our first gym. And this actually felt way better than completing entire games I've played in the franchise. But I'll be honest, it was kind of a bad time. Partially because of my lack of understanding, but also because I feel like this world was meant to troll the hell out of me. In fact, I can't even really say that I beat this gym, because remember how I told you the trainer can full heal 6 times if he wants to? If you walk up to him and physically type no objects, he says, okay, then we won't use items. It's kind of like a cheat, but the game cheated me, so we're gonna let it slide, okay? If it weren't for this very specific mechanic, it would have probably been a lot more awful grinding. However, I knew that this may have been the exact opposite of a miracle. Too many negative things happened at once for this to be anything but an act of Satan. Surely, now my journey was about to get a lot easier. The path to our second gym was kind of uneventful. I caught a lot more Pokemon and even managed to grab EXP share, which was great, but then we get to Gym 2, and this guy was a completely different beast. Because this is where we truly started to deal with statuses, natures, and stat changes. It is actually pretty impressive how much the gameplay folds in on itself. After I learned that it was a water gym, I swapped around my team and now had an Ekans with Intimidate, my Riolu, a Grovyle, the Bibarel from before, and a Ghastly. Believe it or not, these were all kind of strategic picks. Riolu and Machop had some pretty high damage moves overall, and they were just some of my strongest Pokemon, so I kept them in. Grovyle learned Leafage, which was a good attack against a water team, and also the move was ranged, which is overpowered in this game. Ekans had Intimidate, which lowers the attack damage of an enemy whenever she comes out, but in this game, it actually stacks, so I can keep sending out Ekans and lowering their attack as much as I wanted to. Ghastly had Toxic Gas, which was overpowered in this game because poisoning the opponent and running away just made them die before hitting you. Bibarel had Rollout, which is absolutely hilarious in this game. How it works is that every time you land the attack, it gets stronger, but animation-wise, it also makes your Pokemon spin faster. If you could just be a sniper and not miss, chances are you could do some insane damage. Unfortunately, this move bugged out a lot too, and would often stop stacking randomly, but it was still too funny to not keep in. My team may sound a little overpowered on paper, and to be honest with you, it kind of was the few times I used it correctly, but let me explain why that doesn't matter and why this gym tilted me off the face of the earth. The first Pokemon, Buizel? Is he French? The first Pokemon, Buizel, had Dig, which is annoying because they could just avoid every attack while coming at you like a Howitzer missile. The second Pokemon, Carvanha, was not only hard to hit, but also had rough skin, which hurt any of my Pokemon that used melee attacks. But the real demon of this team, the secret final boss, was actually a Poliwhirl, who knew Double Slap, which meant I couldn't get away from him, but he also knew Hypnosis, which had a pretty decent chance of putting my Pokemon to sleep, and normally that's okay in Pokemon because it takes an entire turn, but in real-time battles, it doesn't. He can just spam this move as much as he wants. I can't say exactly how fast he could do it, but I'll say maybe around 4 times every 10 seconds. And if he connects and it's successful, which happens quite frequently, he basically just wails on your sleeping body until you snap out of it. Imagine dreaming that somebody is beating your ass, opening your eyes and seeing this. There's a Golduck who can freeze you for practically the same effect as falling asleep, and this is where the idea of real-time Pokemon battles really started to fall apart for me. I know there's natures and stuff that can prevent you from falling asleep, but finding a Pokemon with insomnia strong enough to face this gym was kind of an impossible task. There are items that can wake up your Pokemon in a pinch, but those were pretty expensive, and using some of the very limited money you've earned in order to wake up your Pokemon only for Poliwhirl to spam the ability again and hit you with a lucky shot is not a smart move. It is just financially irresponsible. I need to also add something here that is kind of annoying, especially in a high pressure situation. This game does something called input reading, which basically means the enemy will do the exact perfect option every single time that they want to. I actually explained it while I was live recording the footage, so here you go. Something okay? Are you guys ready to be blown away? So the reason why I say a lot of the deaths in this game feel pretty bad is because I want you to look right here. Okay? This is a perfect example of how the game works, which you probably don't notice if you're just watching, right? Look at this. He is running directly into my attack here, okay, right? Directly into it. Active hitbox, active hitbox, active hitbox, right? You can look up here and you can see where my PP is, okay, right? In this game, everything you do has to be predictive, right? So you have to predict that he might be in front of you in a bit. I press the button, right? The exact frame that I press attack. Look at the PP, right? The exact frame that I press attack. Boom. He immediately turns, gets out of the line of sight of my attack. But get this, you ready? Active hitbox on me. Right now I have an active hitbox. Active hitbox, active hitbox, active hitbox. Stands 1 pixel out of my active hitbox and attacks me diagonally. So no matter what happened, that Pokemon played that situation perfectly. And it's like, oh, get good. Oh, you just don't know what you're doing yet. That is how the game works. And that is how it has always worked. And you can't really see it when you see me playing. It's like, oh, he's missing. He's dodging. Oh, but you know, he shot that in the wrong way. It just reads your inputs. Now that we understand how complicated this game is, here's the main event. Me versus Poliwhirl and his ragtag group of water dorks. Mach punch! Mach punch! Mach punch! All right, that's it. I'm gonna have to hit you with a low sweep! Into low sweep! No, you don't. You think you're gonna kill my guy? You're poisoned, idiot. Yeah, you like that? You're burned now, idiot. I'm not trying to headbutt him because it would hurt me. So I'm gonna wait until he dies to Will-O-Wisp. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna charge up and I'm gonna kick you in the goddamn lips, you son of a bitch. Hypnosis? Nice attempt, dork. Okay. Now that I mentioned the input reading, right? Like you see it right there? Perfect. Got him. I got... Holy shit, that's a big attack. And I am confused. Lower his defense. I can just do that 1,000 times. Oh, his defense is fucked now. Oh, there you go. Wow, that is tragic. I didn't know that worked like that. Dude, then what's the point of having a Gyarados if people can just turn you into a one-shottable loser? All right, let's see what's next. Oh, this guy has hypnosis. And he has Ice Beam, so he could freeze me and he could hypnosis me. Uh-oh. Oh. Take that, bitch. Take that. You think you're ready for me? You're not. Take this. Am I poisoned? Take this. You ain't gonna believe the beatdown I'm about to put on you, you son of a bitch. Oh, I died? Take one of these! You think you're gonna be able to defeat me? You idiot? You buffoon? You straight up fool? Take that. What do you think about this? 20? Bro's about to get the... The 26 damage rollout! Who is this? What is that? What the f is this? What am I looking at? Sick, dude. Very fantastic. Whatever this is, let's just go for it, Buster. Get rolled out. Get rolled on. Get rolled on. The 15 damage rollout. Here it comes, the Shuriken of Death. They call me the Angel of Death for a reason. I'm out of here. Bitch. You son of a bitch. That's what I'm talking about. You stupid idiot. You think you're gonna beat me? The man who's never missed a rollout? Yeah, better luck next game, you dumb bitch. After finally beating this second gym, I feel like I've won. Not because I beat the entire 157-hour-long story, but because I was able to strategize effectively against one of the most annoying boss fights of my life. Do I think that this game is great or revolutionary? Kind of. I do think that it's an interesting spin on the formula that the world has grown to love after all these years. But honestly, I've never been more glad that Pokemon is turn-based. I am just not smart enough to keep up with the text moving down there. Like, JID raps slower than this. I am happy that Pokemon is turn-based. Sure, the game is still really hard, but at least I know the enemies in a turn-based game won't just randomly dodge everything to be a jerk. Wait, they do that too? Really? Hey, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I actually now have a second channel that I'm going to be uploading on a lot more frequently, so here's the most recent upload from the second channel. I hope you go over there and enjoy that content too, because I think it's fun, and I would love to see your face over there as well. Okay, that's all I gotta say. Goodbye.